The reading today is from the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 5, verses 14 through 16. May we open our hearts and minds to the reading of these words. You are the light of the world. A town built on a hill cannot be hidden. Neither do people light a lamp and put it under a bowl. Instead, they put it on its stand, and it gives light to everyone in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven. May we be granted wisdom and courage for interpretation.
Friends, as I begin our sermon this morning, I want to take a moment of personal privilege to say what a deep joy it has been to serve as the part-time youth director in this congregation over the last year. If you don't know already, the teenagers of UCC are some of the most delightful people on the planet. I have learned so much from each of them. They bring hope and light and humor into what can often feel like a dark and complicated season in our world's life. They remind me, and I hope all of us, that the light shines in the darkness, and darkness will not overcome it. I want to begin with a story. Reverend Glenn Tex Evans, as he was known to his friends, was a United Methodist minister who spent years serving at the Henderson Mission Settlement in Kentucky. There, he listened to families in his congregation share their needs, their homes that could not hold heat during the cold winters, their roofs that could not keep out the rain. And when Tex looked around, he also saw young people. And while he saw those young people, he did not see inexperience. Rather, he saw energy and passion and a deep desire to make a difference in God's world. Kind of like Koo in that story that Emily was telling us before. So Tex had an idea. This was in 1969, and that summer he brought 50 teenagers and adult volunteers to Barberville, Kentucky. During the day, they spent their days repairing homes, installing floors, like Natasha is an expert at, fixing porches, patching roofs, perhaps doing siding, using J-channel like Sam is so good at, or the God Rod like Ruby, and their evenings worshiping together. By the time that they had packed up to go home at the end of the week, something beautiful had happened. 4 families had warm, safe homes to live in, and those 50 young people had discovered what it meant to shine their light in the world. That one spark became the Appalachia Service Project, which over the last 50 plus years has welcomed more than 440,000 volunteers and repaired over 19,000 homes and just as many hearts. The motto of ASP comes from Tex Evans himself. He says, "We accept people right where they are, just the way they are." That sounds a lot like the mission of this congregation, doesn't it? A few weeks ago, I had the opportunity to join with 14 other youth and adults from this congregation in this movement of care, compassion, and connection. As 9 youth from this church and 6 adults traveled together to the magnificently beautiful Harlan, Kentucky. We piled into our 3 trusty minivans, Kathy Bates, Gloria Estevan, and my personal favorite, Kim Kardashian. and we drove through the lush hills, marveling at the beauty of the region. As we arrived at Christ's Hands, our home for the week, we quickly learned that mixed in with this gorgeous landscape was a story of both deep pride and deep poverty. While Harlan once boomed thanks to coal mining, today, with only 2 working coal mines in the area, jobs are scarce. In fact, in Harlan County, 35% of the population lives below the poverty line. To meet these needs, Christ's Hands serves 3 meals a day, 7 days a week, to anyone who walks through their doors. They also provide hygiene support, basic medical assistance, and a place of hospitality and welcome. Each morning we would pack our lunches and prepare for our work sites, and then we would go and gather on the front porch of Christ's Hands. And there we would meet our neighbors, people like Miss Rosa, who came not just for food, but to share. She shared every morning handmade butterflies, I wish I had brought one this morning, that she had crafted from wooden clothespins. These were gifts of gratitude, light, and love for us, for the youth that she was so eager to meet working in her community. Our week was taking place in 2 homes. The home of Serena and Cody, Grace and Layton, and the home of Mrs. Loretta, otherwise known as the Egg Group and the Rainbow Group. You see, every group that week was named after bagels. I didn't know there was a rainbow bagel until that week, but there is. The Egg Group, which I was a part of, installed vinyl plank flooring throughout Serena and Cody's mobile home. The youth learned to drill. AJ was particularly good at this. Drive nails and install tongue and groove flooring, thanks to the expert leadership of Andy Luxus and Natasha Cho. They also enjoyed the company of many animals. Sassy the kitten, Miko the baby raccoon, that's right, as well as Ellie, right? Ellie, was that the name of the dog? Ellie and, what was the name of the other dog? Missy, but they called her Macy. The Rainbow Group focused on installing siding at Miss Loretta's home. They battled torrential downpours and they laughed about Ruby learning to use the God rod, but the real reward wasn't just the work. It was the relationships. When we walked into Serena's home for the first time, she greeted us with open arms and a heartfelt welcome. This is your home, too. By the second day, she knew every single one of us by name. Her laughter and kindness, her stories, playing with Grace, these were the treasures of our week. Mrs. Loretta showed that same radical hospitality. One day, the kids all came home with these green drinks. I was like, what in the world is this? And they said, oh, these are Miss Loretta's favorite drinks. These are Skittles drinks. So she gave them her favorite Skittles drinks. She made hamburgers and hot dogs and cornbread for them. She taught them her favorite worship song, I Give Myself Away, which includes the powerful lyrics, Here I am, here I stand. Oh God, my life is in your hands. Lord, I'm longing to see your desires revealed in me. I give myself away. As she shared her deep faith with our youth. Through her warmth and generosity, she reminded us that service is not just about giving, it's about receiving love as well. I asked the youth and adults who came on the mission trip to reflect on how they saw God's light shining throughout our week. And so I'd like them to invite their reflections now.
I saw God's light in lots of places. One was Miss Loretta's dog, Jack, who was chained up in the backyard. The dog was nervous, and we were nervous too. Jack barked at us first and was really shy. The dog seemed scared. Jack was worried about having so many people in his yard. I was worried about being in a place that I'd never been before. I have never done construction. I don't know how to use a hammer or a drill. But after a while, Jack started sniffing my hand. He seemed like he was not as scared. I noticed that I was also less nervous. Miss Loretta made everything easier for us. She talked to me a lot that week about everything that she had been through and all of the people who had died. She was sad because her twin sister, Miss Lorena, died. Also, Miss Lorena's son died. They died in a car crash. Miss Loretta was sad every time she talked about it. She also told us stories about Miss Rosa, who she said was a word that I can't say in church. We thought that was fun. I can't say bad words, so you can ask my mom what the word was after church. On Wednesday, I realized I wasn't nervous anymore. I felt calm and at home with Miss Loretta and Jack. We got to build a new doghouse for Jack, and he was so happy. Miss Loretta became my family, and I love her. I had so much fun with my youth group.
So, I was not on the mission trip this year, but I will be reading for Ruby. Ruby said, I saw God's light through the way that the people who worked at ASP loved the homeowners. They always checked in with them and made sure we were helping in the right way.
I am going to be reading Andy's reflection first, and then I'll read mine. Andy is Ruby's father, so they were on mission trip together. And he reflected, when I watched the kids work, I kept thinking of the part of the Lord's Prayer that says, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Also, I'm trying not to cry. I'm really sorry. God's love being shown through this amazing group of teenagers was so clear. They sacrificed their summer vacation to do physically demanding work all day. They worked hard and showed love to the homeowners. They are an inspiration to us adults and showed God's love and light in a really powerful way. And then for me, again, like I said, I'm trying not to cry. Cherry Road in Verda, Kentucky, leads to Mine Road. And on Mine Road lays a small, dilapidated, single-wide mobile home. This home belongs to Miss Loretta and her family. A place of welcome, warmth, and love. A place where I stood for multiple hours, measuring windows, cutting and installing my arch nemesis J channel. If you know, you know. By climbing up and down a very old, janky ladder held up by Jessica and Rachel, and balanced by wood scraps and rocks. By Friday afternoon, my legs were shot. I was hot, my brain was tired from measuring and cutting, and I just wanted to sit for a couple of minutes. I sat down in the grass next to Miss Loretta, and we talked about life, our work on the house, how lovely it had been to share this week with her and her family. While we were conversing, her grandson had brought the mail that he had gone up the road to get on a little scooter. It consisted of 2 letters and a package. Miss Loretta opened the first letter, which happened to be from ASP, and handed it to me. She handed it to me because she can't read beyond very basic words. This very sweet, kind, loving human being that I had gotten to know over the last 4.5 days, who had lived their whole life in this very small space in the rural mountains of Kentucky, couldn't read. We talked for a few more minutes, and then she opened the next letter, looked at it, and handed it to me again. But this time, this letter was longer, and as I was reading it, I realized this was a very personal letter about medical payments for her granddaughter who has a disability. I started to feel awkward reading something so personal to someone I had only known for 4.5 days. I felt that I needed to be helping my group because everyone in the group was doing something, and I was just sitting. The homeowner then, Miss Loretta, then asked me, what does that mean in regards to something in the letter about finances? As I was answering their question, it dawned on me, I'm exactly where I needed to be. I needed to be here. I needed to be there to read this letter to her so that she knew what to do to help her granddaughter. And then I realized it was okay. It was okay for me to sit there and for me to take a break. And I was exactly where I was supposed to be.
There were many ways I saw God's light shine during our trip. The homeowner was very kind, and the first thing she said to us was, "This is your house now," like Sarah said. She spent a lot of time just talking and getting to know all of the volunteers. We had a lot of fun working together on the projects that ASP gave us. Everyone did a lot of work. They worked really hard. But where I really did see God's light shine was the relationships that we made on the way with the people and the people that we met.
I am going to say an edited version of the thing that Etta referenced. So Miss Rosa, who made the beautiful dragonfly crosses and other things out of clothespins, was apparently the cousin of our homeowner, Miss Loretta. And so as we were driving her out to the lake one night, and Elliot and Etta were in the car with me, and Loretta said, "That rose is a pistol," but she didn't say the word pistol, and it really made an impression. So I'll tell you the word later, but I wanted you to know what that was. Etta really wanted me to talk about it, but didn't want to say the word. So I will tell you the real word after church. The highlight of my week was watching this group of really incredible kids work so hard together to do real good in Harlan, Kentucky. I've done a lot of mission trips over the years, and I've done a lot of projects that felt like they were designed to allow people who have never really experienced poverty to meet someone for an hour or a day, learn a few object lessons so they can feel grateful for their good lives, and then move on. When we went to Appalachia Service Project 2 years ago as a youth group, we realized the organization was not like that at all. ASP centers the families who have real work they need done on their houses. I'm talking real construction, which they entrusted to us. The ASP staff, mostly incredible college kids, always greet the homeowners first. They allow us to join their existing relationships and treat the people whose houses we're working on with dignity and respect. The work we did was hard, but it did not stop Team Rainbow from showing up every day in our minivan, Kathy Bates, with great attitudes. Despite the bugs and torrential downpours and the blazing sun and the lack of lath screws and the steep learning curve, I watched Sam be a little baddie on a ladder using her now deep knowledge of J Channel. I love how that's come up the whole time. It was like, I don't know if you need J Channel worked on in your house, go to Sam. She wants to do that. She loves it. I watched Mark solve 1,000 construction problems while still making jokes. I watched Lavender discover a tremendous talent for drilling screws. Ruby discover a love for digging up dirt with the massive crowbar that was taller than she was. I mean, I don't know how she lifted that thing. That was the God rod. Rachel discover her unbelievable project management skills. Etta discover her abilities to sort 1,000,000 screws and still have great conversations with Miss Loretta. And Elliot utilize, but not discover, her ability to lead our team with determination and heart as she kept going and going and going. I saw God in the way this group ministered to Mrs. Loretta, a lonely woman up on the mountain who cannot read and who has left the city of Harlan one time in her life when she was a little girl, but who has a tremendous gift for hospitality and humor and joy and love. Miss Loretta and everyone else with ASP loved us so well. And I saw God, and every minute we got to return that love by making Miss Loretta's home a warmer, more secure place.
So as you have no doubt heard, the youth of this congregation shined their lights brightly in Appalachia. They showed up with open hearts, willing hands, and deep compassion. Each of them brought their unique gifts. AJ's humor, Henry's curiosity, Clementine's creativity, Lavender's enthusiasm, Aubrey's quiet, gentle leadership, Elliot's try-anything attitude, Etta's attentiveness to others, Ruby's kindness, and Rachel's encouragement. And they let them shine in every interaction, every task, every moment of the week. My prayer for this congregation and for our world is that we all carry that same spirit of compassion, offering radical welcome, accepting people right where they are, just as they are, using the unique gifts that God has placed within each of us to make this world a brighter, kinder, and more hope-filled place. Thanks be to God for the youth of UCC. Amen.